She said she missed me. Said the apartment felt empty without me. I believed her. I didn't know she was sneaking him out the back door while texting me goodnight. I gave her everything. And in the end, I gave her the chance to confess without even knowing she was doing it. It was her idea to move in together, not mine. I loved her. God, I did. But I'm not the kind of guy who rushes into things just because they feel good in the moment. I wait. I measure. I've been burned before, and I learned the hard way that comfort is not the same thing as commitment. But she looked at me one morning, bare legs tangled in the sheets, coffee in her hand, sunlight cutting through her hair like a spotlight, and said, "Why are we still living in 2 apartments?" I didn't have an answer. So 3 weeks later, I was handing in my keys and boxing up my life into a U-Haul. Her name's Mia. We met in the most boring way possible, line at the DMV. We made fun of the guy screaming at the poor clerk over a license suspension, exchanged smirks, and before I knew it we were sitting on the curb outside eating vending machine pretzels and trading stories about worst jobs, worst dates, worst weeks. Hers was pretty bad. So was mine. Something about Mia always felt effortless. Like she didn't need to try to be interesting. She just was. Her humor didn't beg for attention. Her confidence wasn't loud. But when she looked at you, you felt like the only person in the room. Maybe the only person in the world. Living together wasn't bad. Not at first. We argued about little things, my shoes in the hallway, her tendency to leave half-drunk coffees on the windowsill, but even the arguments felt like part of something we were building. That's what I told myself, anyway. I worked in IT. Long hours, not glamorous. She was in marketing, remote, lots of Zoom calls, a never-ending stream of brand language and product pitches. Most days she stayed in yoga pants and a hoodie, earbuds in, pacing while she talked with clients. But every now and then, when she got off a call and flopped next to me on the couch, stealing my chips and dropping her head on my shoulder, it felt like everything was in the right place. She had this best friend, Jaden. They'd known each other since high school. Practically grew up together. I met him a few times, cool guy, kind of artsy, did photography, and taught part-time at some community college downtown. I didn't think much of it. He was around. Sometimes they went for walks, grabbed coffee. I trusted her. God, I really did. But we're not there yet. This part of the story is about before. The quiet before the shatter. A few weeks ago, my mom got sick. Nothing catastrophic, just one of those health spirals that hits all at once. ER visits, medication adjustments, my dad looking like a shell of himself on the phone. So I offered to go. I took some unpaid time off, booked a flight back home, and told Mia I'd be gone a week or 2, maybe more. She kissed me on the forehead and said, "Do what you need to do. I'll hold it down here." And she did, as far as I knew. We texted every night. She sent me photos of the cat curled up in my hoodie, updates on the weird neighbor who kept trying to start conversations about UFOs in the hallway. I sent her updates from the hospital, videos of my niece drawing pictures of Uncle Josh to cheer up Grandma. It all felt normal. There was one night, though. It stands out now, even if it didn't then. I called her around 10 p.m. It rang 4 times, then voicemail. Called again. Same. Finally, around 11:30, she texted. "Hey babe. Sorry. Wild day. Just needed some me time. Hope everything's okay." I told her it was. I didn't ask questions. Maybe I should have. But I didn't. Because sometimes the worst betrayals don't start with lies. They start with silence. I came back on a Tuesday. The flight was delayed. I was tired. I smelled like recycled air and someone else's McMuffin. My phone had 11% battery, and I'd scrolled past the same 3 headlines about celebrity breakups 3 times. Mia didn't pick me up. I told her not to. I'd landed during her team's big quarterly meeting, and she said she'd leave the key under the mat, just like we used to do. I said it was fine, that I'd rather just come home quietly. I didn't tell her how much I missed her, or how weird it felt not waking up to her laugh echoing from the bathroom while she watched TikToks and brushed her teeth. I didn't say any of that. I just wanted to see her. Our apartment always smelled faintly like her, vanilla and something citrusy. The lights were off when I opened the door. It was quiet. The cat blinked up at me from the arm of the couch, then gave me the same bored look it always did, like I just interrupted something important. Mia wasn't there. That was fine. I was early. She probably got caught up at work. I dropped my bag, kicked off my shoes, and walked into the kitchen. There was a mug in the sink. It was one of hers, black, with a chipped lip and a gold star on the side. She always drank chamomile tea from it when she was anxious. Said it helped her breathe. I touched the handle. Still warm. That detail stuck with me for reasons I didn't understand at the time. But it wasn't the only thing. There was music playing. Faint, coming from the bedroom. I paused, trying to place it. A soft indie track, one of the playlists she made when she was winding down. Normally, she didn't leave music on if she left the apartment, but maybe she was just out walking. I stepped toward the hallway. The door to the bedroom was cracked open. Inside, the bed was made. Pillows in their usual places. Nothing looked disturbed. Except for one thing. There was a hoodie draped over the chair in the corner. A light gray one. Not mine. Mia wore my hoodies all the time, but this wasn't one of them. I knew every stain and fray on mine like a second skin. This one was newer. Slimmer. I reached out and touched the sleeve. Cologne. Faint, but there. I stood there, staring at it, until my phone buzzed. It was Mia. Hey. Just realized what time it is. You home yet? I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over the keyboard, then dropped. Yeah. Just walked in. Perfect timing. I'm around the corner. Be there in 5. I pocketed the phone, turned off the music, and sat on the edge of the bed. I didn't know what I was looking for. I just knew something wasn't sitting right. 5 minutes later, I heard the front door open. Josh, she called out. I stood, walked out into the hallway. She looked normal. Ponytail, hoodie, yoga pants, earbuds still dangling from one ear. A brown bag of takeout in her hand. She smiled when she saw me, and for a second, I almost forgot the weird ache in my chest. She dropped the bag on the counter and wrapped her arms around me. I missed you, she said, muffled into my shirt. I missed you too. We stood there for a while. I didn't ask about the hoodie. Not then. It felt too soon, too sharp. Instead, I helped unpack the takeout and told her stories about the hospital. She laughed at the story about the nurse who brought my mom a fake lottery ticket to cheer her up, and gasped when I told her about the family who brought in a live goat as some kind of spiritual healing ritual. It felt normal, but the hoodie was still in the back of my mind. Like a splinter. That night, we went to bed early. I was jet-lagged, and she curled into me like she always did. She whispered something about how empty the apartment felt without me. How she didn't sleep right. How the cat kept meowing at the bedroom door. Around 2 a.m., I woke up. I don't know why. One of those dead silent wake-ups where the world feels too still. I sat up. She was still asleep beside me, one arm draped over my chest. I got up quietly, walked into the living room. The hoodie was gone. The chair was empty. I checked the hamper, the hallway hooks, even the trash. Nothing. It was just gone. The next morning, I made coffee while she took a shower. The music was playing again, same playlist. I listened closer this time. One of the songs had lyrics I never really paid attention to before. You smiled with his hands on your hips / said some things are better not to admit. I didn't say anything, just added it to the list. Over the next few days, I noticed other things. Tiny changes. The plant in the corner was overwatered. Mia always hated overwatering. Said it smothered the roots. The cat stopped sleeping on the bed. Slept in the hallway now, near the front door. Her phone habits changed, too. Before, she used to scroll openly, Even hand it to me sometimes when I asked for directions or a recipe. No, it was face down. Locked quicker. Notifications silenced. But she was affectionate. Attentive. Almost too much so. She cooked more. Played my favorite shows even when she wasn't in the mood. Said yes to things she normally rolled her eyes at. She was trying. Or maybe she was compensating. I didn't know. One night, about a week later, I got home from picking up groceries. She was on a video call with someone, laptop open, laughter echoing through the apartment. When she saw me, she clicked the screen shut fast. Work, she said. Client stuff. Boring. I nodded. Smiled. Let it go. But when I passed the table, I saw the reflection in the dark screen of her laptop. Just a glimpse. A man's face. Laughing. Bearded. Familiar. I didn't say anything. I just started remembering. And watching. Because something was wrong. And I was done pretending not to feel it. Someone at the bar said something he shouldn't have. Just a rumor, but the kind that unravels everything once it gets into your head. And once it was there, I couldn't stop looking. I didn't go looking for anything. At least, not at first. I told myself that. Repeated it like a mantra in the shower, in the car, even as I watched Mia's behavior slowly evolve into something less recognizable. She still smiled the same way, still said, "Love you," before bed, still kissed me goodbye in the morning. But something behind her eyes had gone quiet. Like the warmth had stepped out of the room before she did. Still, I didn't go digging. Not until someone else started peeling back the layers for me. It happened on a Friday night. My friend Ryan had just gotten dumped, 4-year relationship, crashed and burned over some passive-aggressive texts and a suspicious coworker. The kind of breakup that leaves a guy raw and halfway between pathetic and philosophical. So we went out. Dive bar near campus. Sticky tables, neon signs, too many TVs, and the bartender who knew Ryan's drink before he even asked. It was the kind of place you only end up in when you're running from something. We were 2 beers deep when Ryan leaned in and said, "Hey," random question. "Mia ever say anything about Jaden?" I froze. Not visibly. I don't think I flinched. But something in me tightened, like a rubber band stretching somewhere behind my ribs. "She talks about him sometimes," I said casually. "Why?" He hesitated. Looked at his beer. Swirled the last inch in the glass. "Probably nothing," he muttered. "Just, I heard something the other night. From someone who knows him." I stared at him. What kind of something? He raised his hands, already on the defensive. "Look, I'm not trying to stir anything up." And I didn't want to say anything because honestly, I didn't believe it. Still don't. But the guy, Caleb, remember him? From that rooftop party Mia dragged us to like a year ago? He said Jaden's been, like, bragging. Bragging about what? Ryan looked me in the eye. About hooking up with someone he shouldn't be hooking up with. The air went flat. I set my drink down, untouched. "You think he meant Mia?" "I didn't say that," Ryan said quickly. "Just the way he talked about it. He didn't name her. But he said it was someone taken. Someone with a boyfriend who would never see it coming." I asked if it was someone I knew, and he just laughed and said, "You'd be surprised." I didn't speak. Not right away. Ryan kept talking, voice lower now. Could have been nothing. Could have been someone else entirely. But I saw the way he said it. It was cocky. Like he wanted people to guess. I nodded slowly. But my mind was already miles away. That hoodie. The warm mug. The laughter in the laptop screen. The vanishing act every time I stepped too close to the edge of the truth. I didn't accuse Mia. Not that night. Not the next. But something had shifted. I started paying closer attention. One thing about me, I don't explode. I don't yell. I don't even confront unless I'm sure. But once the doubt is there, it doesn't leave. It just settles in, like mold under wallpaper. Quiet, invisible, but always spreading. The next day, Mia said she was going out for drinks with a couple coworkers. I offered to pick her up after, but she waved it off. "It's just girls," she said. "We'll probably Uber back." I waited until she left, then texted Ryan. "What's Caleb's last name?" He replied instantly. "Mercer." I opened Instagram. Found him fast, public profile, all mirror selfies and beach pics, the kind of guy who still used #blessed, unironically. I scrolled until I found a photo tagged at a rooftop bar from 3 weeks ago. In the comments, someone mentioned Jaden. I clicked the tag. His profile was private, but the bio read, photographer, storyteller. Still figuring it out. I remembered his voice now. Smooth. Unbothered. The kind of guy who could tell you your house was on fire and make it sound poetic. Still, I didn't have proof. So I got clever. That Sunday, Mia said she had a Zoom call with a client in the evening. I kissed her on the forehead and said I'd give her space. Instead, I drove across town and parked a block away from Jaden's building. I waited. At 6:47 p.m., she walked in. Not a Zoom call. Not a work meeting. No laptop bag. No professional clothes. Just her. In jeans and a gray sweater. Casual. Familiar. She buzzed up. The door clicked. And she disappeared inside. I waited in the car until it was dark. She didn't come back out. Not for 2 hours. When she did, her hair was pulled back differently. Her jacket was zipped. She didn't look around. She just walked. Like she'd done it before. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. When I got home, I said nothing. She smiled like nothing had happened, curled up next to me on the couch, and made a joke about how annoying her client was. I laughed along. But that night, while she slept, I opened her laptop. I'd never done it before. Never even thought about it. But the password hadn't changed. Her messages were still synced to iMessage. At first, I didn't see much. Work threads. A group chat with her sister. Some boring stuff about wine nights and recipe swaps. And then I saw a thread with no name. Just an initial, J. Most of it was cleaned out. Deleted. Probably regular practice. But one message remained. It was from a week ago. He'll be back Tuesday. Just one more night. I stared at it for a long time. Just one more night. My heart thudded against my ribs like it wanted out. I closed the laptop, set it back, and crawled back into bed. Mia shifted in her sleep, murmured my name. I watched her for a long time, and then I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. If this was what it looked like, I wanted the whole truth. I wanted names, dates, messages, receipts. I wasn't just going to catch her. I was going to bury the lie with every inch of the truth. I became someone I didn't recognize. There's a line you cross when you suspect the person you love is lying to you. It's not sudden. It's not dramatic. It's slow, subtle, like waking up one day and realizing your house has been sinking an inch every year. By the time you feel the tilt under your feet, it's already too late. I wasn't the kind of guy who snooped. Never cared for mind games. But in those next few days, I watched Mia like I was studying for an exam. I learned her routines all over again. How long her showers lasted, what playlists she listened to when she cooked, how many seconds she stared at her phone before smiling. That smile. I didn't know how long she'd been practicing it. She wasn't cold. That's the part that messed with me. She was warm. Attentive. She brought me my favorite breakfast on Wednesday. Slipped a note in my jacket before I left for work. You're everything. She laughed at my jokes, kissed my cheek when I was distracted, and sat curled next to me during movies like everything was fine. Maybe that's what scared me most. Because if she could look me in the eye and lie with that much ease, what else was I missing? I didn't have proof. Not yet. A deleted message. A hoodie. A few too long silences. None of it would hold up in a courtroom. But I didn't need a jury. I just needed time. I started checking her phone when she was in the shower. Never long, 30 seconds, max. I didn't want to leave a trace. But there was nothing. No texts. No calls. No obvious signs. Everything was too clean, too curated. Like she knew someone was looking. She wasn't dumb. I think part of her always suspected I'd find out eventually. Maybe she even wanted me to. Maybe guilt needs an audience. Then came Thursday night. She said she was going to a friend's gallery opening. Last-minute thing, she said, already slipping into heels she never wore to work events. It's mostly artists, probably not your vibe. I played along, smiled, nodded, kissed her on the forehead. You look amazing, I said. She smiled like it meant something. I'll be back by 10. She left at 7:22. I waited until 7:30, then grabbed my keys. I didn't follow her directly. I'm not a movie character, ducking behind bushes with binoculars. I'm quieter than that. Strategic. I drove toward Jaden's building. Parked across the street again. Waited. At 8:04, a familiar figure approached the building. It wasn't her. It was him. He looked different this time. Sharper. Hairstyled, dark jacket, earbuds in. He walked like he had somewhere to be. Like he was meeting someone. He disappeared inside. At 8:17, she arrived. Hair pinned. Black dress. No coat. Her arms were crossed against the cold, but she didn't seem to mind. She didn't buzz up this time. She texted. 2 minutes later, the door clicked open from the inside, and she walked in. I sat there, car idling, watching the building like it might confess something. By 10:11, she still hadn't come out. At 10:36, I drove home. She arrived at 11:22. I heard the key turn softly, like she didn't want to wake me. I was on the couch, half asleep with the TV on. She froze when she saw me. Hey, she said, voice light. You're still up? I rubbed my eyes. Couldn't sleep. She kicked off her heels, walked over, and kissed my forehead. Gallery was nice, she said, sitting beside me. Ran late. You know how these things are. Meet anyone interesting? I asked. She shook her head. Just the usual art crowd. Too many glasses of cheap wine, and someone ranting about brushstroke rebellion, or whatever. She laughed at her own joke. I laughed too. But inside, something was cracking. That night, I dreamt of her whispering in someone else's ear. Her eyes soft, her voice low. I couldn't see the man's face, but I knew the sound of her laugh. Friday morning, I called in sick. Mia had a full day of remote meetings, so I stayed quiet, pretending to nap in the bedroom. But I listened. At 11:42, her voice dropped. Hold on, I'll call you back in 5. He's home today. Silence. I crept to the hallway. She was on her phone, facing the window, back to me. I couldn't hear the other voice. Just hers. Yeah. No. Last night was good. Yeah. I missed it too. Pause. I know. I will. Another pause. Love you too. She hung up. I stepped back into the bedroom before she turned. My heart felt like it was beating behind my eyes. Love you too. I couldn't unhear it. That night, I stayed distant. Quiet. She asked if I was okay. I said I was just tired. She didn't press. Maybe she didn't want the answer. I checked her location history the next morning. Turned out she'd disabled it 2 weeks ago. I asked her about it casually, pretending I couldn't find the grocery store we always went to. Oh, she said, blinking. Yeah, weird. I think my settings got messed up after that last update. She picked up her phone. I'll fix it. But she didn't. And I didn't ask again. Because I was done asking. The next day, I reached out to someone I never thought I'd talk to again. Sophie, Jaden's ex. They broke up a year ago. Messy ending. Mia always said Sophie was emotionally unstable. But now, I wondered if that was just a story to discredit her before she could talk. I found her Instagram. Sent a DM. Hey. Random question, can we talk? About Jaden. She replied within an hour. I was wondering when you'd reach out. We set a time. Met at a coffee shop on the edge of town, the kind no one goes to unless they're trying to be unseen. Sophie looked tired. Not messy. Not unstable. Just tired. I'm guessing you're here because of Mia, she said, skipping small talk. I nodded. She sipped her drink. They've always been close. Too close. My jaw clenched. She noticed. I found out the same way you probably are now, she continued. Little things. Whispers. Deleted texts. Random gaps in time she couldn't explain. And Jaden? He's charming. Slippery. But he's reckless when he's bored. Did he ever say anything about her? Sophie hesitated. Not directly. But when we were still together, I found a message once. Just one. From her. All it said was, he's still asleep. I can't stop thinking about last night. I swallowed. She looked at me, eyes heavy. You need to be sure before you burn it down, she said. But if you're here, you already know, don't you? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. When I got home, Mia was on the couch, watching something light, laughing. She looked up, smiled, patted the seat next to her. I sat beside her, arm around her shoulder, and I wondered if she could feel it, the storm winding up in my chest. Because soon, the rain was coming. And this time, I wasn't going to carry an umbrella. By Sunday, I had everything I needed except her words. Not a rumor. Not a guess. Not some shadow pulled from a text thread or a shared glance between her and Jaden. I wanted her confession. Uncoached. Raw. Real. That meant I couldn't confront her. Not directly. Not with accusations. Because the moment you accuse someone like Mia, they vanish behind a wall of indignation and denial. I'd seen it happen to friends. Heard the stories. No, that's not what happened. You're being paranoid. I can't believe you don't trust me. I didn't want to play that game. I wanted her to hand me the truth like it was her idea. So I made a plan. The kind of plan that starts with a smile and ends with silence. It began innocently, so innocently that even she wouldn't suspect a thing. I waited until Monday evening, after she wrapped her final meeting. I brought home takeout from the Thai place she loved, the one we always ordered from on cold nights. She was curled up on the couch in socks and one of my old hoodies, eyes tired but mood light. She looked up when I walked in. You're spoiling me, she teased, taking the bag. Just missed this, I said, and kissed her forehead. We ate together, laughed, talked about meaningless things, her annoying coworker, my terrible boss, the neighbor who still thought my name was Jack. I let the rhythm of routine comfort her, lull her into thinking everything was fine. Because that's how you catch a lie, not in the heat of an argument, but in the warmth of comfort. After dinner, I poured us wine. She curled back into the couch, sipping slowly. The kind of slow you do when you feel safe. That's when I brought it up. You ever think about what we'd do if one of us cheated? She blinked. The wine glass paused midair. I laughed to cover it. Shook my head like it was nothing. I read this article, I said. Some guy found out his girlfriend was cheating, but instead of confronting her, he just started treating her like everything was fine. Said he wanted to see how long she could fake it. Mia's eyes narrowed slightly. Not suspicion, curiosity. What happened? She asked. He played the long game, I said. Made her feel safe. Then one night, she broke down crying and confessed. Couldn't handle the guilt. Mia chuckled softly. Sounds dramatic. Yeah, I agreed. But kind of genius, right? She sipped her wine again. I don't know. That kind of manipulation? Feels dark. Maybe, I said. But sometimes people won't tell you the truth unless they feel like it's safe to do it. She looked at me for a moment too long, then changed the subject. The next day, I planted the second seed. Over breakfast, I said, you ever notice how people tend to confess when they think they're not in danger of losing anything? Mia tilted her head. What do you mean? I shrugged. Like, people won't admit something until they think you're not going to punish them for it. Like the moment they feel safe, the guilt leaks out. She nodded slowly. Maybe, she said. And I saw it, the flicker. The tiny, almost invisible ripple in her face. A tell. She was listening. More than that, she was wondering if I knew. If I was hinting. But I didn't push. I just kept laying the ground, brick by brick. I gave her little moments of fake vulnerability. Let her think I was drifting, that I was trying to be okay again, that I missed her, that I was choosing to trust her, even when something in me still itched. And that's what cracked her. Not anger, not distance. Trust. By Thursday night, I had the final piece in place. We were watching a documentary, some true crime thing. A woman had an affair, then poisoned her husband. There was a scene where the police played her own words back to her from a hidden recording. The moment she realized she'd been caught was unforgettable. Mia was quiet after the episode ended, so I turned to her. "I have a question," I said, "and I just want you to answer honestly. No judgment." She looked at me cautiously. "Okay. If you ever did something you knew could destroy us," I said slowly, "but you weren't trying to hurt me, would you tell me?" Her face didn't change at first, but her hands did. She twisted the blanket in her lap. Subtle, small, but her grip tightened. "Why are you asking me that?" she said softly. "No reason," I lied. "Just thinking. I mean, some people would rather live with a lie than tell the truth and risk losing everything." She swallowed. "I guess it depends on what the thing is." I nodded. "Let's say you had a moment. A weak one. Something happened. You felt guilty. But then it passed. You told yourself it didn't matter. Would you still tell me?" She didn't speak for a long time. Then she said the quietest thing I've ever heard from her. "Did something happen?" I shook my head. "No, nothing happened. I'm just trying to understand people better." She studied me, then said, "I think some people confess because they want to be punished. Others confess because they want to be forgiven. But most people, they confess when they think you already know." And that's when I knew. She thought I knew. Not fully, not with evidence, but enough that she was bracing for something. So I gave it to her. Not the confrontation, just the space. She thought we were healing. She thought I was finally trusting her again. But I was watching, every word, every movement. I wasn't looking for a fight. I was waiting for a confession. The next night, I told her I was going out with friends. I left the apartment at 6, drove around the block, then came back 20 minutes later. Parked 3 buildings down. Walked up the stairs on the opposite side. Let myself in quietly. And waited. She didn't know I'd come back. I sat in the guest room, door cracked, lights off. At 7:34, I heard her make a call. Speakerphone. "Hey," she said softly. "Jaden." I recognized his voice instantly. "You alone?" he asked. "Yeah," she said. "He went out with Ryan. Won't be back for hours." "You okay?" She paused. "No." He was quiet. Then she added, "I think he knows." "What makes you say that?" "The way he talks lately. It's like he's trying to get me to admit something without saying it." "Then don't admit anything," Jaden said flatly. Another pause. "I don't know how to keep lying to him," she whispered. And then she said it. The words that burned into me, even though I had expected them. "I feel like every time I look at him now, I'm looking at someone I betrayed. And he doesn't even see it. I keep remembering that night you stayed over, how I snuck you out right before Josh got home. I can't stop thinking about it. I didn't need to hear anything else. I recorded it anyway, just in case." When I came out of the room 10 minutes later, she screamed. She backed against the wall like I was a stranger, her eyes wide, her face pale. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her. And I smiled. Because now the lie wasn't just in her hands. It was choking her. She said my name like it was a wound. "Josh." I didn't answer. I just stood there, watching her try to figure out how much I'd heard. But she already knew the answer. You could see it in the way her body shifted, from rigid denial to something small. Collapsed. She looked like someone who'd just realized the house fire wasn't a dream. That she'd been walking through smoke for months and was only now tasting the ash in her mouth. I didn't scream. Didn't throw anything. I didn't ask why, or when, or how many times. I didn't need the details, because I already had the only one that mattered. She knew it would destroy me, and she did it anyway. I was going to tell you, she said finally. No, I said calmly. You were going to keep it a secret. I didn't mean. Yeah, you did. She opened her mouth again, but I stepped past her, walked into the kitchen. I needed space. I needed something normal, something neutral. The hum of the fridge. The stupid little magnet on the door that said good vibes only. I almost laughed at that one. She followed me in. I didn't plan it, she said. It just happened. I turned slowly. That's the story, right? That it just happened. Her voice broke. I wasn't thinking straight. I missed you. I felt alone. You weren't alone, I said. You were bored. There's a difference. That shut her up. She stood there, silent, trembling. The same girl who used to fall asleep curled against me like nothing else in the world could touch her. The same girl who once said, I've never felt safer with anyone. I could have broken her in that moment. But I didn't want revenge. Not like that. I just wanted her to feel it. Really feel it. The gravity. The loss. The thing you can't take back. So I gave her what she'd never expected. Clarity. You didn't just cheat, I said. You betrayed the life we were building. You took something sacred and dragged it through someone else's sheets. And now you're standing here looking at me like you still get to say sorry and have it mean something. Tears welled in her eyes. And I saw it. That thing I was waiting for. Regret. Not fear. Not the panic of being caught. Genuine regret. It didn't make me forgive her, but it made me feel whole again. I was scared, she whispered. I thought you'd never look at me the same if I told you. You were right, I said. She started crying. I watched her fall apart in our kitchen. Same kitchen where she once taught me how to make her mom's soup recipe. Same kitchen where we slow danced barefoot at midnight with cheap wine and cheap music and hearts that felt like they'd last forever. She said, I didn't love him. I still don't. It was comfort. It was noise. It was someone being there when you weren't. I shook my head. That's not what love is, Mia. That's not what loyalty is. That's not what you do to someone you say you'd never hurt. I never wanted to hurt you, she said, sobbing now. I was stupid. I was so. Don't, I said quieter now. Don't ask me to help you carry this. She sat down at the table, hands in her hair, sobs shaking through her chest like waves breaking. I stood for a long time. Then I walked to the bedroom, grabbed my bag from the closet, the one I hadn't unpacked fully since I got back from helping my parents. Something in me must have known, even then, that I wouldn't be staying. She followed me in. Please don't go, she whispered. Josh, I'm begging you. I turned around, looked her straight in the eyes. I hope someday you understand what it feels like, I said. To give someone your heart without a lock on it. To believe that your absence won't become someone else's opportunity. She cried harder. I didn't stop her. More than anything, I added, I hope this eats at you. Not forever, but long enough for you to grow. Long enough for you to look someone in the eyes one day and know what it means to be trusted and to earn it. Her face was flushed, ruined, raw, but she nodded, and I saw it. The pain, the real kind, not the panic of being caught, not the fear of being left. The ache of knowing you became someone you never thought you could. I walked out without slamming the door. It was quiet behind me. No footsteps. No last-minute apology. Just silence. I didn't block her. I didn't delete her number. I didn't need to. Because some endings don't need a dramatic bow. Some betrayals don't explode. They dissolve. Over days. Over glances. Over late-night texts that say, I miss you, long after it matters. I moved into a short-term place across town. Small studio. Fewer windows. But it's mine. Quiet. I see Ryan sometimes. He doesn't ask questions, but he always has a drink ready. Mia reached out once. Just one message. I'm sorry. For all of it. I hope someday you'll believe that. I never responded. Not because I hate her, but because the lesson already landed. She looked me in the eye and told me she loved me, while sneaking someone else through the door behind my back. And still, I wanted her to feel it. That gut punch grief. That slow drip shame. The way it hits you in the middle of a smile. The way it makes you rewrite your entire past because you realize it was never quite what you thought it was. She felt it. And maybe that's enough. Because now, when I think of her, I don't see the girl laughing in my hoodie or the one curled up beside me on late movie nights. I see the girl who looked me in the eyes and lied, and then broke when she realized I'd stopped lying to myself. Thanks for watching. If this story pulled you in, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next confession. Until next time, take care and watch who you trust.